Additional aids and services are available to individuals with disabilities. To make such a request, please contact us by email by clicking the Help tab in the PD portal or at pdportal@tamu.edu, by phone including Relay Texas at 1-800-441-7323, or in writing to Train PD, PD Portal Support, 4477 TAMU, College Station, Texas 77843. Both a transcript and accessible document of the content presented in this webinar can be found as resources in the course description. Click on the blue links under Course Resources in the description. When a link is clicked, a new browser window will open.
I would like to now introduce you to Paula Nations, the representative from the Student Nest.
I am very excited to be with you today to tell you about MAC, the Math Assistance Call Center, and to share that information with you. What you can expect to take away from today's session. Before today is over, you will learn of a free tutoring resource for your students. The resource is free for your students. You will also learn how your program director or a person of decision maker, what they must do to be able to access that resource. But before we get started, let me tell you about me. One of the things that's exciting about what we do is we do everything virtually so that your students get an opportunity to learn more about the computer and the virtual and all those kinds of things as well. So a little bit about me. I am a MAC TWC lead tutor, so I do tutoring. I've been with Student Nest now for 4 years. We've passed August. I was hired 4 years ago in August. I have a degree in elementary education and early childhood, and I've taught GED classes for over 10 years. The first experience that I had with GED was teaching GED math at a local high school. My children were small, and I went and taught this in the evening. Then as the children grew a little bit, I was offered a position at a medium security prison where I taught reading and language arts. So now I've been teaching math virtually for over 2.5 years. So in all this, wouldn't it be great if there was a free resource that would support your classroom teaching, that supported your students by giving them time, by giving them opportunity to practice, an opportunity to provide safety that comes by being one-on-one. And you know what that means. There are times where you have students who will not venture out and will not try and test their math limits if they're in a group. But if they have one-on-one, they have a safer place to test those limits. Wouldn't it be great if there was a free resource that helped students make sense of a subject that was often overwhelming or confusing or frustrating, a resource that helped bring order to what sometimes seemed chaotic? And you know that's true from your experience in teaching math. You know that there are students that find the whole idea of math as being just a mess, a mental mess, chaotic. So as a team, the tutors, the free resource supports classroom training and encourages students. And wouldn't it be great if students could access this support, this help, whenever they needed it? And wouldn't it be great if this resource was available to any adult GED math student anywhere in Texas, no matter where they lived, whether they lived in the Panhandle, whether they lived on the coastal bend, whether they lived in the city or in the rural area? And wouldn't it be great if this free resource truly supported students in their pursuit of their GED by helping them pass their math GED test? And you know this from your experience, that math GED test is often this singular thing that stands between students and obtaining their GED. Well, there is. There is an answer to all these wouldn't it be great questions, and it's the Math Assistance Call Center, MAC. It is a free resource. It is available to your students 7 days a week and provides math assistance. MAC, the Math Assistance Call Center, has partnered with Student Nest to supply math assistance to adult GED students in Texas. We supply math tutoring. At this time, only math. We are not tutoring in language arts. We're not tutoring in other areas. We are tutoring in math. Student Nest is a tutoring vendor for the Math Assistance Call Center program. And Student Nest is headquartered in Fresno, California. Student Nest has been in the distance learning business for over 20 years. The pandemic has created an opportunity for explosive growth in virtual education. When I started with Student Nest in August of 2020, there were 25 tutors. Today, 4 years later, Student Nest has over 500 tutors. Student Nest specializes in tutoring, whether that tutoring is in person, whether that tutoring is virtually, whether that tutoring is a hybrid, which is that combination of virtually and in person. Student Nest serves over 2,500 school districts in over 10 states and has logged millions of tutoring service hours with thousands upon thousands of students served. This experience means that Student Nest is well positioned and well prepared to meet the demands of MAC. Student Nest has the behind the scenes infrastructure of support staff, of call center professionals, and of course, tutors. MAC tutoring program has 11 tutors that creates over 250 hours of tutoring availability every week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Sunday. 50% of our tutors are bilingual, English and Spanish. We do have one tutor who is fluent in English, Urdu, Hindi, and Punjabi. If a student should desire tutoring in a language in which our MAC team does not have fluency, we have access to over 500 Student Nest tutors worldwide who are fluent in a broad range of languages. And from this pool of professionals, we feel very confident that we can meet the language needs of any student who would come into this program. Our tutors come from varied backgrounds and experiences. We have retired classroom teachers. We have retired educational administrators. We have classroom teachers who go to school and teach every day. We have college instructors. We have GED math instructors. We have college math students, and we have math geeks. All of our tutors are experienced. They're experienced as teachers and or as tutors. Our math tutors have knowledge and the skill to tutor from the basic math to college level work. Presently, we have almost equal distribution of male and female tutors. We have 6 female tutors and 5 male tutors. For some students, that is important because the gender of a tutor to a particular student may be that student may say, no, I don't want to tutor with this gender. I prefer to tutor with the other. And so students do have that option to say, yes, I would sooner tutor with this one and not that one. Many of our students, and you know this to be true too in your classroom, they come and they have a level of learning challenge. All of our tutors have experience working with students who have learning challenges. But we have 3 tutors who have extensive background and experience teaching learning challenge students. That has been their career focus, and that has been their training. That is their experience. These tutors are, by degree and experience, trained to meet the learning needs of students with unique learning styles and learning challenges. Our tutors are skilled and capable. They are experienced in supporting the students to build skill and grasp concepts taught in the GED classroom. Student Nest tutors are dedicated to student success, committed to the belief of student success. And that is what sets our tutors apart and consequently will set Student Nest apart. You know from your experience, there are concepts where students typically tend to struggle, places that have produced breaks in their progress. Fractions, decimals, algebraic expressions, linear equations, geometry, word problems. All are places that I have seen where learning has stopped and progress has been hindered. We tutor students where they are, and we will fill in the gaps and help them build skill so they can have progress and have success. MAC tutoring is a partnership. It takes the student, the local teacher, and the tutor, and together there is a generating of success and success for that student to pass their math GED test. To have this free resource available for your students, it's a very simple. The MAC tutoring is free. It's free for your students. It is the extra one-on-one support. It enhances and strengthens your classroom instruction. But to access this resource, it's simply a matter of completing a memorandum of understanding or an MOU. This is to be done by your program director or a decision maker in your organization. If they want to do this and you want to tell them, hey, we want to do this. They may not know about us, but you do. So you want to say, hey, we want to do this. All they need to do is email me, Paula Nations, at pnations@studentnest.com. That's where you email requesting an MOU, requesting the memorandum of understanding. That's all it needs to be done. The memorandum of understanding is completed, and now the process can begin. So now your students have free access to this math tutoring. But now it's time to get the word out. If your students don't know that this resource is available to them, it will not be used. It will be of no use to anyone. This particular flyer, we have an English one and we have a Spanish one, which is the next slide, but both of them are available to you. What happens is, to get the word out, you can use these as a poster, you can use these as a flyer, you can use these however you would like to use them. They are there for use. You can see by looking at this, there's only a few pieces of information needed for the student to plug into the tutoring. They need their program name, the program location, and their team's number and their instructor. That's all. Then what happens is they can pick up the phone, call, give all that information. This is the Spanish, an example of the Spanish flyer. But what happens if they go to make this telephone call and they are a Spanish speaker? That's not a problem, because our call center, the ladies who man those phones, are Spanish speakers. If they call and they don't have all the information, a referral will be made for them like this, and it will not stop the referral from being began, but it will not allow them to tutor until we have their team's number, their location of their tutoring, the tutoring program's name. The biggest singular deterrent or hiccup for the student is they typically, if there's going to be a piece of information they don't have, it's that team's number. We have a program who uses this particular format and will hand this out to students at the beginning of the semester, midway through the semester. They will hand it out and they will say, hey, we think you could benefit from this. And they just hand this out and say, hey, fill this in if you want math tutoring. They make it part of their class time. You don't have to. You can get the word out however you want to, however your program wants to. But in this case, with these paper referrals, they gather the information, and at the bottom it says, tutoring, these referrals are emailed back at tutoring@studentnest.com. We do not work with students who don't go to class. You need to be involved and enrolled, an active participant in your class. If you're not going to class, you don't have tutoring. We have had students who come and say, well, I don't need to go to class because I'm going to tutoring. No. If you're not going to class, you don't have tutoring. So when we hear that, then we have to say to them, you've got to go back to class and get in class or you don't have tutoring, because this doesn't happen unless you're in class. We get the referral, and what happens next? We receive the referral, whether this referral comes to us because of a phone call or through a paper referral because of it was emailed to us. Either way, we get the referral. The call center will contact the student within the first 24 hours. What happens is that within this first 24 hours, our call center will make a phone call, they will make a text, they will send an email. If they don't get an answer on that phone call, they're going to send an email and a text. And they will continue until they get a response. Now, what happens if this goes on for several weeks? Well, the amount of reaching out, so to speak, the amount of contacts diminishes because they get further and further down the line. I urge teachers to tell their students, if you are reaching out for math tutoring, expect a phone call. Expect a phone call and expect someone to email you or text you, and please respond. If you have chosen that you don't want this anymore, well, then tell them so. Tell call center, no, I'm not interested. Or take the call, answer the text, and proceed. Because the next step is where the call center will talk with the student and determine an appropriate tutor based on their needs and based on the time slot of their availability. Because we're not going to schedule a tutoring session with the student when they're at work. We don't just arbitrarily do that. The student has to say, hey, I'm available at this time. I'm available on Saturday at noon. I'm available Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, whatever time it is. And when that came to that place, then call center will email the tutor with the student's information. When the tutor says, yes, I acknowledge this, I see I got a student on my schedule at this time, then the student is given the tutor's information. That's their email address and when tutoring will begin. Sessions can be scheduled up to like a week in advance. So today's a Tuesday, call center calls and says, hey, when would you like tutoring? Well, you know, I really like it on Tuesday, but for tonight I have something, but I really like tutoring on Tuesday. So you can see where reaching out to the student about 24 hours before the first session can be important because it reminds them they have tutoring. But about 24 hours before the first session, the tutor will send a welcome email and or a welcome text, usually both. And that would include the date and the time of the session and reminding them or tell them that they will be getting a Zoom link from technical support. That Zoom link will not be coming from them. I've had students, especially when the first session or so, if they don't remember that or they forget that, and I reach out to them, they're like, oh, yes, I see it's technical support. I thought it would be coming from you. So the next step is if a student is not on the session, we will usually text or email, sometimes phone calls. We've not found phone calls to be quite as effective, especially when they don't know who's at the other end, if this is an unfamiliar number. But we will call them and talk to them, email them, text them about, hey, we have a session. We don't see you in the session. And sometimes they will say things like, I forgot. I'm still at a doctor's appointment. I had to work overtime, whatever happens there. And sometimes they will say, right, and they will hop on and we will have the session. If they do not respond, they don't answer the phone, they don't answer the email, they don't answer the text, and they've had a Zoom session scheduled. If they don't respond for 2 consecutive sessions, the student's tutoring is then paused until the student reaches out and reschedules the tutoring. It is at that point where the call center will ask, are you attending GED classes? And they will also ask, who is your teacher and what is your program? And that is for one purpose and one purpose only, and that's to ensure that the student is in fact attending GED classes, because we are here to support what's happening with the GED classroom, the GED teachers, and like I said prior, not in place of.
Paula, before we move on, I had kind of a follow-up question. If a program gives out the GED vouchers and register requires only 12 hours, can they still use the MAC because they fulfill the requirements of the program that they're with?
If they are not within a GED classroom, no, they cannot.
Specifically saying the Texas AEL classes, correct?
Yes.
And they need to be a student in those classes. Yes. This was an email that we got, and it was probably about 6 months ago. It was in the spring. And this was a student who was a Spanish speaker enrolled in a Spanish speaking class. Remember, we have tutors who are Spanish speakers. So this particular student, her student nest tutor was a Spanish speaker. So when it says Spanish GED class, it means her teacher was a Spanish speaker. And what happens here is that she was to take her test, couldn't go to sleep, was nervous about this. She contacted her math tutor to go over some areas, and the trainer was extremely booked and could not fit in the last minute session with her. She started crying, and it was so apparent that her anxiety level was very high, so much so that the tutor moved everything around his schedule to schedule a session with her. They spent 2 hours late at night going over drills to make her feel more comfortable. Needless to say, she passed the exam with flying colors. That's an awesome email. And that is what I believe to be very indicative of our tutors. These are from student surveys. So we will give student surveys. Sometimes they mention their tutors, sometimes they don't. And you can read here, the first one talks about Mr. Rivera and that he was patient, he didn't give up on the student, and that he helped him a lot. Next one was about Miss Monica. Whatever the student asked for, she was given help with, and said that she was understanding. Here's that word again, patient. That overall she was great. The next one was, thank you so much for all your help and being flexible with my work schedule. That's really important because our students are working adults. They are adults. Things change, things happen. So we have to be able to accommodate them within their schedule. Reinforcing the knowledge that you learned from their GED class. The next one was where Miss Monica and I tag teamed to help a student finish the work she needed to do to pass her test. Miss Monica was moving. She was actually moving to Spain, and she was moving in the period right about 4 weeks before this particular student needed to take her test. So I was the substitute. And what I wanted to show here was this is not unusual for tutors to work together to help bring about the outcome of a student passing their test. So it was between Miss Monica and I that we were able to help this student pass their test. And the last one was, she says, although I've passed my math GED test, I wish I could still have meetings with Mrs. Linda just to learn all I can. She was wonderful to work with and made math very enjoyable to learn.
We have another question. Is the
Okay.
funding source for these hours the MAC state leadership?
Yes, they are state leadership funding codes.
These are part of the pie charts of some of the surveys. The first question was this tutoring program helpful? 98.8% said yes. Did the tutor support your math needs? 100% said yes. Did the tutoring service support your learning? The answer was yes, 100%. Since the start of the tutoring program, did your math skills improve? 97.6% said yes. Were you able to make measurable gains as a result of tutoring? 96.3% said yes. This is where we all work together. This is where, by supporting the student, that supports the classroom teacher and the instruction, the student is able to successfully pass their math GED test. So what happens is, when that student passes that test, that student wins. The classroom teacher wins, the program wins, and the tutor wins. So it is true that when the student wins, we all win. The bottom line is to be sure your students have access to this resource. And you can contact Mr. Joshi at cjoshi@studentnest.com or me, Paulinations at pnations@studentnest.com. And my phone number is there, 726-582-8621. I'm very excited about this. I think that this program has a great deal of value. I think it helps students. One of the things that I've seen is that students can pass the English language arts, they pass the science and social studies, but they have a problem with the math, the referral. So the referral program, so the idea is to get the word out. Now we have the program can collect referrals, which is that paper referral that is emailed to us, or just simply a flyer. We have programs that just put this flyer out, or they put it up as a poster. What is needed is the program name, the program's location, and the student's team's number, as well as the instructor. With that, then they can call, and our call center will create that referral and then begin to match them with a tutor. Now, as teachers, you don't have the authority to sign the MOU. That MOU comes from your program director or the decision maker with your program. But what you can do is you can ask them to request one. You can be that squeaky wheel in that program director's ear saying, hey, we want this, we want to do this, we want to get on board with this. This is available for our students and it doesn't cost our students. This is great, let's do this. But the memorandum of understanding to be signed is from that program director or decision maker. We tutor one-on-one. Do we tutor small groups? No, we tutor one-on-one. And in part because of that safety that's within for that student. I know you've had students that they kind of pull back. They're really kind of shy. They don't want to put out what they don't know. They don't want to ask a question because they're afraid. So we tutor one-on-one to give that safety for that student, to help them build confidence, to help them build skill, so that when they come to your class, they can feel more confident and are more successful in the class.
How long does the tutoring session last?
We can tutor for as long as a half an hour, but most of our sessions are scheduled for an hour. I like to see those scheduled for an hour just because by the time the student comes in, we get any kind of review, anything else done, we don't have a lot of time to go into a new concept. But if that's all that they can afford in terms of their schedule, we will do a half an hour. Now, there are times where we will tutor for an hour and a half or 2 hours, particularly if we have a test coming up. And I have done this. I know my other tutors have done this. I've got a student who next week is coming in for a test. We want to make sure everything is nailed down, everything is good. So we will set aside a larger block of time for them if they would like that, because we want to pull out all the stops, do what we need to do to make sure that they are successful on testing day.
Student hours from MAC should be placed under MAC state leadership. Remember, these are direct hours towards post-testing.
And this is part of the MOU where we keep record of student hours. Student hours come when they come to us, it's recorded. So a report goes back to whoever is the record keeper within your program, the program director, someone, so that they have a record. That happens every 2 weeks. So usually between the 16th and 17th, there is a report as who was there, how often they were there, how long they were there. And then again on the 30th or the 31st, whatever the last day of the month is. So that report would be then on the 1st, usually between the 1st and the 3rd. So those hours, we have record of them and we send them to our MOU holders twice a month. Well, thank you so much. And it's been my pleasure to talk with you today. I will be excited to answer any questions for your program directors or your decision makers. I will be happy to answer any questions I can. And I'm just excited to share this opportunity because I think it's an awesome opportunity. I think it's an opportunity that helps the individual student. And consequently, and you know this as well too, from being GED teachers, that when you impact that adult student, you have impacted their family, you have impacted their community, you have impacted all of them, because it's this trickle down that goes the whole way. It's not just one little square of one student passing a GED. It impacts their family, it impacts their community, and all around them. And I know you've heard this too, that a student has gone and gotten their GED, and they have encouraged other family members and other friends to come and get their GED, because they said, well, look, I did it, so you can do it too. So thank you so much for the work that you have done and the work that you do. And we just greatly appreciate it. And we would very much like to partner with you in helping students be successful in this area. Thank you so much for having me today.
We hope you enjoyed this pre-recorded webinar. After you have passed the final test with a score of 80% or greater and have received your certificate of completion, please take a few moments to complete the course evaluation. Participant feedback helps Train PD at TCAL continue to provide high-quality professional development. To leave a course feedback, please go to the completed portion of your transcript. To do this, hover over the My Learning tab and select View Your Transcript. Click on the drop-down arrow next to the word Active and select Completed. Then, click Evaluate in the drop-down menu next to the course you just completed. Please note that your feedback is greatly appreciated.